Created artist magazine. Oh yeah. Created artist.
Hi, Can Fam. It's your girl Pauline, and I am here with an iconic legend in the music industry, previous owner of the Eve After Dark, home of the world-class Wrecking Crew. And we just had something real special happen here at the Super Bowl 56 recently, where his club, the Eve After Dark, was featured at the halftime show. We have here with us Lonzo Williams, the godfather of West Coast hip hop. Hi, Lonzo.
Hello, Pauline. How you doing today, darling?
I'm well. Thank you so much for joining.
I like that new dude.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I did this just for this interview. No.
All right, no problem.
Now, I have done interviews with Lonzo before, but I really wanted to know, because like many other people, I was watching the Super Bowl, and halftime show was really what I was itching to see, because, you know, it was a lot of hype about the artists that was there. Some of my favorites, Snoop and Mary J. Blige and Dr. Dre, of course, and Kendrick Lamar and Eminem were all featured there. And so I really wanted to catch that show, being a music fan, and I got a pleasant surprise that just shocked me so hard. The Eve After Dark at the halftime show on the building that Dr. Dre was standing on was the Eve After Dark. Where were you? First of all, did you know that was going to happen?
I had no idea, babe. I had no idea whatsoever. I was just as surprised as the rest of the world was. Wow. I was at the Super Bowl.
Oh, what was you doing
at the Super Bowl? Yes, and okay. I was in a semi-private place, and I'm looking at the screen, and I was with people who didn't know me personally. Nobody really knew me. One guy sitting next to me, he knew who I was. Right. Well, you know, they weren't from California, so when the Eve After Dark showed up, and I screamed, they didn't understand the significance. Okay. I was kind of glad I was with people who didn't know what was going on, because I got kind of emotional, because that really touched me when I saw Eve After Dark being exposed to the world for the first time. And it was like, to me, it was like Dre saying, "Thank you, Doc. You know, thank you, bro. And here's where it all started." And that's something I've been waiting for a long time. And I finally got it. A very emotional moment for me as a grown ass man. I can't help it.
You told me a little something. You said you had eaten something.
Yeah, I was eating some barbecue potato chips, and right before it happened, and when my eyes started watering. Man, you all right? Yeah, I got some chips on my hand. I got some sauce on my hand, so I'm just trying to I'm trying to, you know. So I kind of played it off. But I didn't boo-hoo, but, you know, it was very emotional. You know, when my kids, and I see one of my kids do something that makes me proud. It's just a tear of pride that sometimes when you really see somebody that you have put a lot into, whether your kids or your grandkids, or somebody like Dre, who I gave him a lot of opportunities in his younger days, and just finally say, "Hey, man, thank you," you know. Or here's where it all started, and told the world that, you know, people ask you dumb questions before the Super Bowl. "Oh man, you think Dre gonna bring you up? Think he gonna shout you out?" I got the biggest shout out in the world right then and there, baby. I was big, because everybody knows who ran the Eve After Dark.
I'm about to right now, just hearing this story, because when he did it big. I mean, the Super Bowl was a really big deal, because LA, we was really on a high there. You know, we had a number of different things happening. And then we had the home of the Super Bowl, and we had the team with the home of the Super Bowl.
Right.
So that whole West Coast vibe was there. So it was a lot of energy. And for him to come out like that and mention you in that kind of element and environment was mega. Yes. That was mega. I mean, it blew me away. Because I know you. And so I'm like, I used to go there when I was a teenager. Oh my gosh, I remember all this. Oh my God. Right. I was up in here going like, oh my gosh, I got to talk to Lonzo. Oh, he didn't even tell me. Yeah. And so when we talked, you said you didn't even know.
Right. Right.
So now, I just want people the 10 people that may not know, what is this whole thing with the Eve After Dark, the world-class Wrecking Crew? Because that's like where it all formulated. Is that true?
Right. Right. Yeah. Avalon Segundo, right there in the city of. Technically, Eve After Dark is not in Compton. It's right near Compton, about a half a mile from Compton, but we're technically in the unincorporated part of LA. But because we are so close to Compton, we had people come from Compton, Watts, Gardena, Carson. Everybody came to Eve After Dark.
Right.
There was no spot like that at that time because we did a lot of things that most clubs didn't do. First of all, it was the only club with no alcohol, and we catered to youngsters. And there was other clubs that catered to youngsters as well. But because we were all DJs, we were all dance promoters that moved to Eve After Dark, we had a different vibe at the Eve. We was high energy, always on the trying to make things happen, partying hard. The walls would be sweating, as you very well would know.
I know. It was packed like sardines in there, but it felt good.
And the air conditioning didn't mean nothing in that summer. So, but that was all part of the fun.
Yeah, and I was a pop locker. Many people may not know that trivia.
Poppin' Pauline.
I was a pop locker.
Wow.
And so those days bring back memories. And as I told you before, another little spot, me and my friend, I'm gonna give them a shout out. I used to go there with Terry and Pat Chapman, their cousins. And we finally got us a little car, and Terry's mom had given her a car, and it was a Gremlin, so we could finally drive to the Eve After Dark, but we had to park it like 2 or 3 blocks away because it was a high top tennis shoe. It was a Gremlin.
Car. But it was transportation, baby.
Yeah, and we would make it there to feel the good vibes and the energy, and I mean, it was the most extraordinary experience there. I still have fond memories of it. Now, how'd the World Class Wrecking Crew get featured there, and who are those members?
Well, remember the World Class Wrecking Crew was myself, Dr. Dre, DJ Yella, and Clientele, and later on Shakespeare, who never really came to the Eve, but the 4 original members all started off as DJs and MCs at Eve After Dark.
I remember seeing them, by the way.
When I got to Eve After Dark, I was 22 years old, and when I walked up to the owner's office that day with my dad, I never thought I'd walk out on a nightclub. That was not the intention. The intention was only to go and rent it out from time to time and do some parties. Right. And the old man was like, he kind of pushed me. Well, if you're gonna do something, might as well do it every week. And I'm like, huh? And between him and my dad, they sit there and literally cut my deal for me. And I'm sitting there, I'm not saying a whole lot, but I'm saying I got the input, but they sitting there drinking brown liquor and threatening me and giving me the rules. And next thing I know, I got a nightclub, but I ain't got no money. I didn't have the money. My dad didn't have the money. He had the connection. And I went to another friend of mine. I called her my fairy godmother. She was working with me at Alpine Village, and I told her what I had. And she said, let's go for it. And we started making it happen. It took us about 5 months to really get going. And with the luck of God, blessings of God, I just happened to be in the presence of Gerald Busby, a record executive, and he had a date. He was looking for a place to take Cameo for a promotional party, and I offered Eve After Dark, and he let me have him. And from that point on, Eve After Dark was just off the chain.
By the time I got there, it was another little place I used to go to in between the Eve After Dark was the Bitten Apple up on Wilshire in a
yes, ma'am.
And I used to go there on the other end of that spectrum. So it was the Eve After Dark and the Bitten Apple. Those were the 2 hot spots.
I just thought about the other teen nightclubs, Showcase and the Workshop. Those are the other 2. They were the other 2 teen nightclubs on the other. One was off of Adams. One was off of Western, and but Eve After Dark, because we were DJs, I just wasn't in it for the money. I was in it for the showmanship. I was in it for just for the girls, for the fun. And it's one thing to be in it, but it's another thing to be of it. And I think because we all were of that generation, we wanted to show everybody that we was the best. And it took us a while to prove it, but we did.
You did. You were the best. I'm going to give you guys that. Now, how would you say this, the music started flowing out? Because we know Dr. Dre is Dr. Dre. He's the doctor.
Right.
And we got mad love for Dr. Dre. He's a musical genius. So now, how did that whole exploration happen? How did he come in to even know you? How do you come to know Dr. Dre?
Oddly enough, I tell people this story sometimes, they think I'm lying, but Dre's dad lived on my street. His father, Theodore, and my older sister were friends. And his father, Theodore, also cut lawns with my dad. Okay, my dad had a lawn cutting service, and all the guys in my neighborhood at one point in time worked with my dad. And I never forget, I was about 8 or 9 years old, because I'm 8 years older than Dre. And I remember distinctively him telling my mom, I just had a little baby boy. And my mom said, "What's his name?" And he said, "Andre." And being a kid from I'm a baby boomer. Andre wasn't the name we had as a baby boomer. We used to Johns and Bobs and Franks and good old plain names like that. That was the first time I heard the name Andre. And it didn't, I was a kid. Andre, what kind of name is that? But what stuck in my head more than anything, if you check any documentary, I think Dre's mom had him when he was like 15. She was like 14 or 15 when she had him. And fast forward 16, 17 years later, I'm at Eve After Dark, and he comes up, wants to get into the club. And I didn't know who he was. I hadn't seen him. We didn't hang out as kids, but I knew all his uncles and his aunts. Okay, his aunt. And he dropped some names. Hey man, you know my people: Lloyd, Floyd, and Deborah. Oh, okay, I'm Theodore's son. Okay, cool. He got into the club after a couple of failed attempts, and I say this. I told Vlad. I told anybody else how he got on my club, on my turntables. I don't know. If he didn't ask me, nobody came to me, but he did some stuff on the turntables that was so phenomenal. I just asked him to stick around. Let's see what's happening.
Yeah.
And after that right there, that was the beginning of the world class. That was the beginning of his run with World Class Wrecking Crew.
And now how did he come to? Well, we know him as a doctor because he is the doctor in the engineering. He is a precision doctor. He's like a surgeon. So now, I seen some pictures with him with the stethoscope around his neck and scrubs and things like that. How did he get to be Andre to Dr. Dre? Were you a part? Well,
you know what? He was always Dr. Dre. When he came to me, that was his DJ name, Dr. Dre.
Okay. So he had already had that.
He already had that. He didn't have all the stethoscopes and the smocks or whatever the case may be. As we started to do more shows, he ran across a smock and a stethoscope. And then as we did our album cover, he decided he wanted to do. I wanted to do something different from Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. We wasn't wearing feathers and moccasins, so we wanted to do something a little more classy. So we all had the sequence.
Yeah, I remember that.
I had the black sequence coat, black sequence custom-made tails, because back then, the tails was the shit to have for a tuxedo, and he had a white sequence doctor spot made, and that's how it started, babe.
Wow. Oh my goodness, that was a rush seeing him do that for you, and you know what? What a blessing that is to get it on the biggest arena ever. It was definitely well worth the wait to see that homage given to you. I read something on Facebook the other day, and it said, a good DJ is not the one that plays all the hottest records. It's the one that plays the most appropriate record at that time, okay? And Dre is a DJ. And to drop that at that time was the most appropriate thing he could have done, and it just shocked everybody. It did.
And as a DJ, I can respect and appreciate that.
I can too, because like I said, I know you, and I used to go to the Eve After Dark, and I know the backdrop of the story. I've seen Dr. Dre there when I was a teenager and everything. So for me to actually have seen that, unlike maybe some people who weren't a part of this,
right,
to get the fullness of that, like I'm getting chill bumps now, it was so dynamic to see him just do that. Like, wow, that's the Eve After Dark right there. We had Tams over there, but we had the Eve After Dark, and he just stood up there like, yes, this is it.
And that was a great shout out to me, Compton, everybody that came to Eve After Dark. my Instagram and Facebook is everything is blowing. My phone was blowing up since Sunday. And, it's just a good feeling to see somebody finally say, hey, man, much love. Here you go. Bam.
Yeah. So now I got I got the book.
Yes,
now
ma'am.
we got Lonzo. Let me
Yes,
make sure
ma'am.
my book is signed. Oh, yeah, my book is signed. Okay.
Yes, it is.
Actually, I have the whole trio. So the story, a lot of it's in here, right?
A lot of the stories of Eve After Dark, how it started, is right in that book. I have an audio book also.
I have that as well, and the comic. So they can get the trio too.
They get the trio, baby. The trio is for sale.
Yeah, they get it all. And how much does that cost?
The book is $15. I sell all four of them for like $45. The book, the comic book, and the paperback.
I actually have it 4 different ways. So I have this, I have the audio, and I have the comic, but I also have it on my Amazon Audio, my Audibles. I have it on my Audibles. Yeah.
Thank you, dear. That'll work. That'll work.
Friends looking out for friends. That's what it's about. And I'm just blown away at what happened for you, and I'm feeling the good vibes for you and with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. Anything else going on you want to talk about here today, right now?
Headed to Vegas this weekend. Me and Yella going to do a book signing in Vegas. Our first co-op book signing. I think it's going to be pretty interesting this time because we booked this thing a month or two ago. We wasn't the Eve After Dark DJs when we booked it. So we're looking for a different response this time. So looking forward to it.
After that Super Bowl, I'm thinking, yeah, you guys going to get a whole different response. Now, these are the guys from Eve After Dark.
Yeah, the owner of Eve After Dark and the leader of World Class Wrecking Crew and the owner of Crew Cut Records. Yes, it's all there.
There we go. It's all there.
And NWA.
So Vegas, you off to Vegas. It's like
off to Vegas, and I'm hitting the ground. When I get back from Vegas, I'm hitting the ground running. We're working on an Eve After Dark documentary, baby. So it don't stop. People seen it. They want to know. People want to know. So I'm gonna tell them.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Lonzo, godfather of West Coast hip hop, and my good friend, the master of music, here with me today. Thank you, Lonzo.
Thank you, Pauline. Have a great day, darling. First, peace.
Peace. That's right.
All right.
Creative artist magazine. Oh yeah.
I went to the Super Bowl as a spectator and walked out of just as big a champion as the Rams. Can't get mad about that.
They got a young team. They'll be back. The Bengals,
right.
They'll be back. They got a great, awesome team. I take my hat off to them too. But we really needed to finish this off here. So
that was the best way you could have finished it, babe.
It was huge. And so you left here a champion.
Yep. Walked out of here. Walked in there just a spectator, walked out a champion.
That's right. So what when you got around some people that knew who you were, because you said it happened when you were in a room with people who really didn't get it.
Right.
The next move you made was what?
Next move I made, I went back to my where my folks were. Mm-hmm. And they were, oh my God, you see, yeah, I saw. I'm still trying to fight it back. I'm still trying to fight back my emotions. Like, you're a macho man. You can't let people see you boo-hooing and shit, but a boo-hoo. But just sometimes as a man, you try to suppress your emotions. But it was real hard. I'm biting shit.
I got some chili powder in my eye right here.
I'm biting shit and trying to look up in the air and and it just, every time I thought about it, it just brought emotions to me. What can I say?
Now, I got one more question. If you had, I may have more, but this is the one I have right now. If you had to say something to Dre for that homage, what would it be? What would you want to say?
Thanks for the love.
That's it, huh?
Thanks for the love. He didn't have to do that. He could have did anything he wanted to. Mm-hmm. But, like I said before, a good DJ drops the perfect song at the right time.
Because like you said, it's not just for you. It's like a community. We all feeling it. Like I got chill bumps.
Compton I did an event for the mayor the next day, Valentine's Day. And that was the whole conversation, pretty much conversation of the whole event. It was Valentine's Day event. And that was the whole conversation. Hey, Dre put Compton on the map in a positive way.
Yes, in a beautiful way. Didn't he do that? Pure love.
The Eve ran for like 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And 6 years, 52 weeks, that had to be 52 weeks of the year, not to mention holidays, whatever. So we did hundreds of parties for thousands of people. So the effect of the Eve has spread all over the world. And some people forgot about it because it was something you did when you were a teenager. But when he rang that bell on Sunday, he don't ring that bell no more. I got people pop locking right now. They probably they're walking on bubble wrap, but that's all right.
Start ticking.
They still walking on bubble wrap, but that's all right. But yeah, he rang a bell that can never be unrung again, because now people, what is Eve After Dark? Now you got something to tell your kids. That's what we did on Friday and Saturday. We weren't out shooting, killing each other. We were out having a good time.
A real good time, and it was packed. Your Eve After Dark was that release where we could just be like this amazing people. We didn't have any problems when we were there. Nothing that was at home, nothing that was happening. It wasn't happening there. We were surrounded by other people who had that good vibe too. And it was definitely a much needed release in the lives of personally me. And I know in my friends too. So we really look forward to it. And I got to say thank you too.
Thank you, baby. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much for having that outlet for a lot of young people. Trust me, they feel it. It sends shockwaves.
Well, you know what? The one thing about the Eve, although I was the proprietor, but I had people to answer to. Okay, so it made us a little bit different. I had a boss. I had a building owner, a landlord. I had a landlord who was very active in the operation, far as making sure it was done properly, because I couldn't let anything that happened at the Eve spill over to this club downstairs. It was 2 clubs on one block. So the Eve was upstairs, and Eve was actually a banquet hall that I rented out for every week. And there was another club downstairs that was actually an adult bar.
Grown folks.
For old folks. And because the old man gave me opportunity, but he didn't want to miss his liquor money either. So he kind of, kept an eye on what I did up there to make sure that everything was copacetic and it didn't have a negative effect. So that's what made us more unique overall, because I had training in management and people skills, whereas a lot of people didn't. So I just went there for the money. Yeah, I was taught to be there for longevity. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you minimize your problems, you hit them off at the door downstairs, and if you get them out, a problem is like a cancer. Before it spreads, get it out of there. Mm-hmm. And that was his philosophy. So once I learned that, we kept everything under wraps, and it worked out for us.
Yeah, I can't remember anything negative happening to me. I didn't see anything negative. We was having good, clean teenage fun. Like, it was the best energy.
Dry humping and grinding.
Oh my gosh. It was fun. Look, and I didn't never get hurt. Nobody never did nothing hurtful to me. I mean, every now and then we had 1 or 2 screw face, but overall it was just amazing fun. That was clean, wholesome, wonderful fun. And again, thank you, Dr. Dre, for remembering that.
All right.
All right. And I'm going to say peace and love to you, Lonzo.
Thank you, darling. Much love, Pauline.
Thank you.
Creative, honest, magazine. Oh yeah.